understand it. Unless we experience it ourselves, we don't truly understand what living with an autistic child or someone with ADHD or anything like that is. So therefore, we just, you know, bob it off, or we plead ignorance about it if we do that. So Sharon, you were talking about your daughter and the experiences she had, you know, or has going to school. But what was it like for you when you found out that you had a child that was on the spectrum of autism? What was the emotion that came up for you? What was that feeling? And I will say something before you say anything. I think you're chosen to have a child like that because they know you can look after them.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're all chosen for a reason. So
yep.
I have a son who has ADHD, inattentive. He's 24 now, and he owns his own business.
Fantastic.
So I feel like navigating kids through such things is very interesting and very challenging as a parent. My daughter was diagnosed at around about 14 after many attempts to get her into see specialists. It was only really when she hit high school that it was really noticeable that there was something not quite right, but it was just, there was all these little things that led up to you know, getting her in to see the specialist to get assessed. And it's interesting with girls because girls, they have a technique that they use called masking. And in autism, so a lot of boys are diagnosed with autism quite young because they are just, you know, out there and a bit.
It is just what it is with them.
It just is what it is with them. But with girls, they try to conform and they mask. So they have like a learned ability to act a certain way or be a certain way, or, oh, my friend's doing that, I should do that, or my friend's saying that, I should say that. So it's sort of like sometimes missed in girls because they have this masking ability. And I don't know, it's definitely something that I'm investigating more because it's such an interesting topic for me, working with these kids and also having my own experience around this. Yeah, just finding out why they do this and trying to uncover those parts. So my daughter was 14 when she got her diagnosis, and as time has gone by, you know, there's been a few extra things that have come up.
Was it a relief when she was diagnosed? So you knew then what you were working with, so therefore you could take the path of supporting her and understanding where she's coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And also there's a lot of judgment from people, right, on the outside. And,
of course,
you know, parents and grandparents, or why is she doing that? Or I just make her do this, or I would do this way. And well, okay, it's not your kid, number one. And number two, you don't live with that every day. So
and shut up.
Yeah, you don't understand, you know. So going through high school, for example, because she has sensory processing disorder, she liked to wear a hoodie because, you know, that was her little safe space, and she would put her little headphones in with music, because just hearing the music and not hearing all that external chatter on the outside, and having her little hood was her safe zone. So to go to school, she had to go through this process to, you know, get the earphones in, have the hood on. We would get to school. Then she would get a detention because she was out of uniform. So I had this whole conversation with the school. She needs to wear a hood because she has sensory processing disorder, but it's not the uniform. Okay, I get that, but if she doesn't wear the hood, she can't come to school, or she won't come to school because there was resistance, because people would see her, and that was not what she liked. So it was always this push-pull of, it's not the rules, but this is how it is. It's not the rules, but this is how it is. And there was no in between. So I said, hey, here's an idea. Why don't you guys create a part of the uniform that is a hoodie for all of these kids that have this problem who want to wear a hood to school? Oh no, because that causes children to be delinquent. And I was like, what is this? So this is where I was talking earlier about the school system being very dated. Yes, exactly. And I'm like, bloody hell, if you want to wear a hood, just wear a hood. So then in year 10, she just went, Mum, I can't do school. But, you know, the legal system in New South Wales is you have to go to school till you're 17 or have a job full time. Well, she was only 15 and I was like, bloody hell, what do I do now? So we explored going to TAFE. So TAFE runs a program where you can actually do year 10 at TAFE in an adult environment. It's very low key. There's like 9 or 10 kids in a class. A lot of the work you can bring home and do at home in worksheets. And it takes 6 months. So you get through a whole year of work in 6 months. And we did that and it was amazing. She got a certificate.
She
coped really well. So she went to the class a couple of times a week. She met some really nice friends. They could go over the shops and have McDonald's at lunchtime. She could wear whatever she wanted to wear. The teacher would let her wear the earplugs in the class as long as she was doing her work. And it was just like an environment that she thrived in. So it's just really finding those spaces for the kids that will work for them as opposed to working against them.
And that's a really important thing, because what we want to do is encourage our children to learn and to be in a safe and comfortable environment.
Correct.
To be able to be relaxed, to allow them to learn. And you have to have a teacher who has a good understanding of what is going on with these kids. And I worked with, I taught in the TAFE system and I taught all sorts of things, but in diplomas in sport development and all sorts of things. But I also taught VET and VCAL, and they were interesting. The VCAL is where the kids come out of school because they're disruptive and all the rest of it, but they still have to continue to go to school, and they go into a kind of a trade, so they can choose whichever it is.
Yeah.
And they're disruptive, and there's a lot of reasons why kids can be disruptive. And some of the kids that I had in my class, some were disruptive, and they were the best kids. They were the best. They were the best kids. And then there was a vet class that I had, and these kids, they were big burly boys and that, and they'd wear their hoodies in class, and I'd say, you can't wear your hoodie in class. But why, miss? And I say, because you just don't do that. But they didn't have autism or anything like that, or I didn't know if they did have. Anyway, they'd take them off. They'd use their phones in class, so we'd take those away too, because they were sort of joined at the hip and they were doing more than what schoolwork they were doing and things like that. But it was really interesting because I would listen to what they'd say about what they do with the teachers that they had in normal class, and they would give them hell.
Yeah.
Give them hell. And, you know, they never did that to me. It was really interesting. And I found the best kids were the disruptive ones. I liked them the best.
Yeah.
I like working with them the best.
Yeah. And I think some of them just need to be heard, you know.
Yep.
It could be a case of they're not being heard at home, or, you know, they've got a need that's not met somewhere and they're just crying out. Sometimes it's like a cry for attention, of like they need something. And
not sometimes.
Most of the time.
All of the time, because a lot of these kids that came from very disruptive families.
Yeah. So they just need something. And
security.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I really like working with kids and, you know, parents particularly as well, because, you know, there is a stress on parents, and
huge.
You know, you get a diagnosis and you're sent on your merry way. Like, where do we go from here? And a lot of parents, you know, for me, I think goodness that I was sort of working in this kind of area already. So it was sort of still a bit of a shock. It's like, holy crap, what do I do now? How do I work with this? But some parents come out thinking, what have I done wrong? Where did I go wrong? Have I made a mistake? Did I do something? And there's like all this judgment on themselves. But it's a matter of like not doing that, just taking the kids for what they are. And the way I describe it is all of these children are a beautiful shining light in the sky, and they just need to twinkle when they're ready.
Yeah.
They just need to twinkle when they're ready. And, they may be ready now. They may be ready in 5 years. They may never be ready, and that's okay. But just let them be there and doing their thing that they need to do that makes them feel good.
And that's the important thing, because we learn when we're in a relaxed and comfortable environment and we're not being picked on or we're not being judged. And I think when I went through school, it was, there's the smart kids, there's the dumb kids. We'll concentrate on those and we'll forget about the dumb kids. Or you mightn't be dumb, but you were treated like you were because of lots of different things. And very interesting to think about, what happens at school now is different to what happened at school when I went to school. And and I think my time in school, the teachers were bullies.
Yeah.
So, but I never realised that until just a few years ago, really, when you think about it. But working with children with special needs, I don't call them disabilities, because are they disabilities?
Well, they're all abilities. It's all abilities.
Yeah.
I like to call it.
Yeah. Do we have the disability because we're looking at someone and thinking, oh, they're not quite right or whatever? We have the disability because we're making the judgment. They don't see their own abilities as anything but what they do.
Exactly.
So why can't we see them as that?
Exactly.
And allow them to learn and grow in their own way, in their own time.
Yeah.
And not put those expectations on them, or the judgment of other parents, or the parent who has a child that has all these abilities, that says, well, what have I done wrong? Why me?
Yeah.
Instead of asking those questions, just look at, okay, I was blessed with this because I can do this.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what it's all about. Yeah,
exactly. And acceptance, I think, is the biggest thing.
Acceptance is a really big thing. And I think awareness, creating that awareness so people understand, and then those people accepting everyone is different. Nobody's the same. Yeah. And everyone's going to express themselves in a different way.
Exactly.
And, you either conform or you don't conform. Well, I'm on this don't conform side, so I don't conform to too much. I don't conform too much. And, get myself into trouble sometimes. But you know what? That is how it is. Yeah. But, you said you had a son who has ADHD. Well, I have friends who the whole family have ADHD, and it's like, wow. But it's dealt with in the appropriate manner, and you just respect it for what it is.
Oh, exactly. And it's the same thing with him, it's not a disability as such. It's like he thinks in a very different way. And, I was very anti-medication, and he got to year 7 and he went, Mum, I think I need the tablets. And I was like, oh God, okay. Because I don't love medication. I don't take it for myself. And, I kind of went, oh, I don't want my kid to be on medication. So it was a big learning curve for me. But I went, you know what? If that's what he needs, I need to be with him.
Yep.
And he took that and he got through high school, he got through TAFE through his apprenticeship, and now he doesn't take the medication.
There you go. Because he can control it.
He can control it, and he knows, what his limitations are, what his strengths and weaknesses are. So we've worked a lot around that, what he's good at, what he's not good at. And he's gone into a trade. He loves working outside. He loves working with his hands. He's a roofer, so he gets to build stuff, which is amazing. Creative. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's got a little team that he manages, and he's doing amazingly. So I couldn't ask for anything more. And, when he was probably 12 or 13, I was like, oh my God, what's this kid going to do? I was really stressed out. But, this is what I say to parents: all kids find their way. They all find their way, right? When they're ready, they find their way in the world.
It's a bit like an adult that's struggling, and they go through lots of different parts of life and they still haven't found their way. They will.
Yep.
One day.
Well, like I was, in my late 40s when I changed to a career that I really wanted to do. What was I doing for the rest of those 30 years? You know what I mean? Like we find our way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually we find our way. And don't get me wrong, I don't regret all of those years of learning. I learned a lot about business, a lot about accounting. I was a business advisor for the New South Wales government, so I had a lot of experience working with businesses, setting up businesses, closing businesses, setting up systems, managing staff. So all of those skills I've brought with me into this business now, into my life and into my kids' lives, because I feel like we're all on a path for a reason. We all have this learning, and do I regret any of it? No, because it's definitely something that I can share with others.
It's a journey, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that journey can be ups and downs and ins and outs and ebbs and flows. But you come to a time when you either accept your part in life, or you think, I don't like it, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make it, and I'm going to make it better.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. We're going